Hey everyone, Professor Snark checking in here. My new office, give you a little tour. Kind of out of focus, but whatever. Here's my towel. Gotta go to the gym. Yeah, I know. My phone updating itself, or whatever phones do now. Not the spectacular office I was hoping for, but hey, here we go. Okay, so we're looking at our next unit. And you might wonder to yourself, why would we do a midterm unit at this point? Well, it's actually pretty close to midterm in our 5-week course, which is hard to believe. As you'll see in the midterm unit itself, it is meant to be like a sort of reflection essay, you know, what we've covered so far or what you've learned or that kind of a thing. So it is both kind of weird maybe to do this so quickly. In terms of we've only really been working on the course for a couple weeks, but obviously we've covered a lot of material, so it actually is useful, even if a little bit artificial because we have moved so fast, to at this point take a moment to think about, well, what have we actually covered here? I mean, basically you've learned half of everything there is to know about masterpieces of world lit. Like, you're halfway there, right? Okay, again, a little bit artificial, I know. So we're using as our basis for this unit the allegory of the cave, which I'm sure many people have heard of, maybe even know some of the details too. And in fact, it has this very kind of rich intellectual or historical context, or philosophical context we could talk about, but we're really not getting too much into that part of it. So the whole allegory of the cave is really just that basic notion of kind of coming to new knowledge, of having things revealed to you, of, you know, learning something new, basically. Which is how most people understand the allegory. In fact, like I said, there's a lot of other kinds of nuances to it, and especially relative to how it is a philosophical principle related to ideas that had come before it in the classical Greek period, and then sort of ideas that that superseded it or proceeded from it in some way. So it actually has a lot more complexity to it than what we're concerned with for this essay. And this claymation thing is like, if you haven't experienced the allegory of the cave, this is a perfect introduction to it because it is totally freaky and very disconcerting, which the whole allegory of the cave, I think, is meant to be. Anyway, the essay itself then, notice that this isn't a discussion board that you're posting to, it's an actual file that you're submitting, so a little bit different. It's still sort of the essay, formal essay format. In some cases, you might be writing in the first person, which is maybe a little unusual for the more formal academic setting, if you end up talking about one of the options where it's really more focused on what you have learned or the new knowledge that you've come to. There's also the option to talk about how characters we've studied have come to new knowledge, in which case you would probably write more in the third person just because it's a little more precise and concise and a little more formal for the academic setting that we're in here. Okay, so the allegory of the cave provides a sort of framework for thinking about a reflection essay at this point, but it really is just a gateway into thinking about kind of what we've covered and where we're at in the course. Obviously, you're not covering everything, so read the details carefully here. And as with everything that we've done as far as the writing part, primarily, I'm looking for evidence that you have engaged with the readings. So lots of direct quotation, a clear intro and thesis that you're developing, full development within the body paragraphs, and the conclusion is really sort of writes itself if you've got all the rest of that part. So there's still principles of organization here, again, developing a clear idea, supporting it with lots of direct quotation from the texts that you're covering. And so I'm really not concerned with issues of grammar and mechanics unless they are such that they get in the way of the meaning that you're trying to communicate. So little typos or things like that, obviously you want to edit those out, but that's not our concern here. So your grade is going to be primarily based just on the idea that you develop, how you show connections between works or between things that you've learned in the class, whatever option you choose here, and then ample evidence from the text that's clearly related to the ideas that you're developing, not just sort of thrown in randomly that hopefully makes sense. Okay, so if you have any questions, be sure to be in touch with me. Otherwise, we are really getting to about the halfway point. This midweek here is halfway. So pretty quick, we still have halfway to go, but as you have already discovered, it goes by really fast. Again, be in touch if you have any questions, and I'll talk to everybody soon.